Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Ari, and today we're going to have some more stories about our toxic life. But before we start, it would be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to my channel, like the video, if you enjoy it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now without further ado, let's go. Today's first story. In this story, after years of infertility struggles, a couple finally conceive. However, the husband discovers his wife's infidelity with their daughter's teacher, motivated by an obsession with academic success for their child. He confronts her, ends the marriage, gains custody of their daughter, and prioritizes being a devoted father. Despite heartbreak, he focuses on rebuilding their lives without his ex-wife. Now let's get into the story. Hello, everyone. For the sake of anonymity, I'll be using fake names. Laura and I met after I graduated from college. She was almost rounding up with college then, and though we didn't start dating immediately, we knew each other for at least 3 years before I asked her to be my girlfriend. Our relationship was beautiful, and we matched perfectly with each other. We dated for 3 years before we got married, and for the first 2 years of our marriage, Laura could not conceive. We tried everything possible, did all the tests, and the results showed we were both okay, but no matter how hard we tried, we couldn't make a baby. Not like I wasn't bothered about it. I was. But the person that was most affected was Laura. She loved children, and even while we were dating, she always talked about how we'd start making children once we got married. So it was heartbreaking for her to find out she could not conceive. To make things worse, we were lucky to get pregnant once, and in less than 2 months, she miscarried. This upset Laura and affected many things about her, including her enthusiasm toward life and the things she loved. It got so bad that she would start crying if she saw baby ads or pictures on Facebook. But luckily for us, towards the 3rd year of our marriage, Laura conceived again and gave birth to her beautiful daughter, Maya. Indeed, Maya was a bundle of joy. She changed so much in our lives, especially Laura's. Laura loved Maya more than life itself, and she did almost everything to make sure Maya was healthy and happy. We treated Maya with so much love, and as she grew up, Laura pampered her with whatever she wanted. She got her the best dresses, shoes, school bags, and everything a girl child should have. There was no asking why Laura loved our daughter so much. Maya's pregnancy came with many complications, and as soon as she was born, Laura and I agreed that 1 child was enough. That way, we could take good care of her, provide for her, and give her the best education. On the other hand, Maya grew to love us and spent more time with her mother. My work took at least 9 hours a day, and most times, I would work overtime to make more money. So except evenings, holidays, and weekends, I barely had time to spend time with Maya, and most evenings, she would already be in bed before I returned home. Honestly, I loved the mother-daughter bond Laura and Maya shared, and within me, I always wished I had the same relationship with my mom. Maya became our utmost priority. Her needs were first met before ours, education-wise. We sent her to an excellent private school before Laura and I married. I knew her to be a go-getter and someone who gave her 100% to whatever she was doing, and somehow she passed the attribute to Maya. She always encouraged Maya to do well in school, make good friends, and be hardworking. She just wanted our daughter's life to be perfect, or so I believed. Initially, it started like motherly advice to her daughter, but as Maya grew older, it felt like she was imposing the whole good grade stain on her. She always wanted Maya to be on top of her class, read more, and play less. And I even remember telling her to allow Maya to be a child, especially since having the highest grades was not the most important thing at that stage of her life, but her social skills with her friends and so much more. She was being too hard on Maya, and although Maya did not see it as hard on her, I was an adult and saw it very clearly. As Maya continued to grow, she became less interested in reading all the time because it did not allow her to spend time with her friends and neighbors, and Laura took this very personally. It took me a lot of talking before Laura stopped being too serious with our daughter, and I was relieved she was finally allowing Maya to act her age. About a month after Maya's 5th birthday, I was home that weekend, and Laura asked me to help her clean her car. Initially, I was reluctant because I knew how untidy her car was every time I cleaned and how stressful it would be, but I did it anyway. I started by taking out the mats, cleaned the front, and as I was trying to clean the back, I found a pack of condoms in the driver's seat back pocket, and 2 pieces were cut out. Immediately, I saw the condom. My heart skipped because we never did it in the car, and the condom wasn't my size. The fact that 2 pieces were missing indicated something was wrong, but I didn't want to confront her without being sure. Seeing the condom in her car definitely changed my attitude toward her for the rest of the weekend, but I lied to her and said I acted that way because of something at work. A couple of days after I found the condom, I secretly set up a dashcam in her car to see who she was having an affair with, if at all she was having an affair. Many thoughts and reasons the condom was in her car crossed my mind, and I thought about all the possible scenarios of someone leaving a condom in her car, but I didn't want to rule out the possibility of her cheating on me. Well, my worst nightmare happened. 2 days after I hid the dashcam in her car, I found out no one left or forgotten the condom in her car. My ex-wife was actually sleeping with someone else, and to my greatest surprise, it was my daughter's class teacher. Not only did I get videos from the dashcam I hid in her car, but I also got audio, and what I heard made my heart bleed. I was not only heartbroken, I was very disappointed because my wife was sleeping with our daughter. I could not believe she could go to that extreme with her highest grades obsession. Without thinking twice, I contacted the school board and reported everything to them with my evidence. I also confronted Laura that same day and kicked her out of the house in anger. In fact, most of her stuff was already waiting for her in the living room by the time she returned. When I told her I knew she was sleeping with Maya's teacher, she immediately went to her knees and started begging me. She said she did it for Maya and was trying to help her get the highest grades, so it would help with her college applications and whatever. I was so angry and I kicked her out of the house. At first, she didn't want to leave because she believed she was doing her daughter a favor, but after I yelled at her and my eyes were popping out, she left in fear because she had never seen me so angry. That same week, the school fired my daughter's class teacher, and I contacted a lawyer to start processing our divorce papers. On the other hand, Maya found out that her mother and I were divorcing and she was so upset. I knew it was hard for her and she was already asking questions, so I told her the truth so she could stay with me. Don't judge me, what her mother did was terrible, and I didn't try to sugarcoat it. Eventually, we divorced and I won child custody for Maya. I didn't want her mother putting terrible ideas of desperation in her head, and I believed I did the right thing. I didn't know it would get her like that, but Maya was hurt and stopped talking to Laura. The only time she speaks to Laura is when she is either yelling or screaming at her, and this makes Laura cry all the time. Mainly because she loved Maya and did what she did because of her. I still don't know if it's true. It's been almost a year, and I have reduced my working hours to spend time with Maya. Although it still hurts me that Laura betrayed my trust and broke my heart, I'm glad she is not in my life anymore. I may remarry when I feel ready again, but for now, I want to spend time with my daughter and be the best father in the world. Today's second story. In this story, a seemingly perfect marriage of high school sweethearts takes a dark turn when the husband overhears his wife's affair during a supposed girls' trip. He confronts her, exposes the affair to her boss, and serves her with divorce papers. Both she and her lover lose their jobs, and she moves back in with her mother. They're now navigating a contentious divorce and custody battle. Now let's get into the story. Everything between me and my wife, 31 female, seemed perfect on the outside. We have been together since high school. It was like something out of a romantic comedy. She was the nerdy girl who spent her lunch periods in the library, and I was the football player. Even though historically, we would have never spent time together, she and I ended up falling for each other. Right after college, we ended up getting married so we could move forward and start our lives together. We bought our first house very young. We both scored very nice jobs, and we started planning to have kids. Fast forward 3 years, and we have one son and another baby on the way. In high school, my wife had a friend who had always rubbed me the wrong way. It was so obvious that he had a thing for her, but she constantly insisted that he was just nice. I tried to explain to her that it made me uncomfortable when she spent a lot of time with him because it was clear to me that he liked her and didn't care that she and I were happily married. Whenever I would bring it up, it would always cause an argument. So eventually I gave up. They talked on the phone all the time. They would always be texting each other and sending memes, and they had a ton of little inside jokes that I always felt like I was on the outside of. He didn't attend the same college as us, but they reconnected after graduation when we all moved back to our hometown. As it turned out, he was studying in the same field as her, so they were able to land a job at the same company. My wife didn't have a ton of friends in high school, so when she made a lot of friends at her new job, she was very excited. She was buddy-buddy with a lot of the girls in the office, and they would go to brunches, theater, and they would even have sleepovers on occasion. I was really happy for her because I knew she was looking for a group like that for so long, and part of me thought she would be spending less time with her male best friend. Last winter, I started to notice the difference in how she interacted with him. She didn't talk to him, but she was very happy. She was very happy. As often, or at least I didn't see them talking as much. He stopped coming over to the house, and I only saw him on occasion when I would visit the office. I was hopeful that she had outgrown him, and they were finally parting ways. One day, my wife came to me and told me that a bunch of the girls from the office were planning a girls' trip for the weekend. She told me it would be harmless fun, just drinking some wine and talking while they relaxed with their face masks. She left Friday evening, and I stayed at home with the kids. I genuinely hadn't thought anything was wrong. Saturday evening rolls around, and I'm in bed searching through Netflix, looking for something to watch when my phone rings. It was a phone call from her male best friend. Right away, I thought it was strange because he and I had never really been close, so his calling me was bizarre. I answered the phone and waited for him to say something, but he never did. I was about to hang up the phone when I heard a part of the conversation they were having. He was telling my wife how much he loved her. My wife was on the other line as well. Wherever she had gone for the weekend, he had gone as well. I absolutely could not put down the phone while I listened. She told him that she regretted what they had done a few weeks ago, and that last night was a mistake. She had gone there to have a conversation with him and end everything. It was then that I realized there never was a girls' trip. They continued their conversation until I could hear them kissing on the other line, then I finally hung up. I couldn't believe where I just heard. I felt sick to my stomach, and I wanted to scream, but I couldn't do anything to upset my children. At first, I thought it was such an odd time to be butt dialed by him. The more I thought about it, people only butt dial their recent contacts, so it didn't make sense for him to have accidentally called me. He did it on purpose. He called me while he had that conversation, hoping I would overhear it. About an hour passed, then I got the text messages. They were all from him. They were screenshots of conversations, pictures they had sent each other, and even a clip from a video that he had taken at the lake house they were staying in. I was absolutely shocked. It was the last thing I wanted to see, but I was glad he sent it. I didn't say anything back. He probably thought that he had won this imaginary fight that he and I have been having for the past 10 years, but I would find a way to make them both pay. I sat on the information, stewing in all of the ideas that I had to get revenge on them both. I knew that I wanted to get them fired, but that didn't seem like punishment enough. My wife came back Sunday night and couldn't even meet my eyes. She felt guilty for what she did, as she should have. By the end of the week, she would only feel worse. I pretended like nothing happened, not wanting to stir the pot and upset our children any more than they would be after everything. Their well-being was my priority, which apparently she didn't care too much about. Wednesday, I was able to get a meeting with her boss. Her company had a strict no dating within the workplace rule, so I knew at the very least they would both be reprimanded for that. The real kicker in all of it was that one of the pictures my wife's friend sent me was of them together in the break room. I had attended many company Christmas parties in the past, so I recognized it well. Her boss was horrified when she saw the images of them together. No doubt she was thinking about how she drank her coffee at the table they screwed on. Now I knew my wife, and I knew her well. I was certain she had no clue her friend sent me any of the information that he did. When she found out what he did, she would want nothing to do with him. His little power play cost him any chance he had of being with her after our separation. As soon as I stepped out of the office, I watched her boss storm over to her friend and practically drank him into the office. I went right over to my wife's desk and I dropped an envelope with all of the printed documents I had been sent alongside divorce papers. She had one of those open offices that didn't like to use cubicles or box their workers in, so everybody got a good view when I served her the papers. I told her that I wanted a divorce. Then, with my voice raised higher than it normally would be, I told her I knew everything about her affair with her friend. I watched the women around her raise their eyebrows and hurriedly look away as if they couldn't hear anything. My wife's face was as red as a tomato. She was so embarrassed. I walked out of the office, knowing that she was likely about to get fired for what happened in the break room. I took the kids to my brother's house, and we stayed with him for a few weeks while I looked for another apartment. She and I are officially divorced, but we're still going through custody hearings for the children. We have agreed on joint custody, but the biggest issue is figuring out the holiday schedule. She and her friend were both fired, and from what I understand, she has completely cut him off. She moved back in with her mom, and I ended up selling the house that I got to keep.